Hi, nobodies. So it has been a long, tiring day. Um, my kiddos came over. One of them is still here, my older one, but my younger one had to come because his dad had to work, and so we needed somebody to watch him. Which probably wouldn't have been so bad if he would have brought them both over, like when he went to work. Um, my son, though, he didn't bring his charger for his phone. And even though I use the same charger for my Samsung, my cords did not seem to want to charge his phone. He's always messing up his ports. And that brings me to, why isn't everybody employing this wireless technology to charge up phones? You know, I mean, I can't count how, I mean, that boy is always fucking up, where only one cord will charge his phone. Um, Now, he was really excited. He got to see the 10 cats. Um, and he had a lot of fun. He kept, I want to go back over there. I want to go back over there. Can I go down to the basement? And he sees everything. And he's always, what is this? What is this? And it's always, what's the rule, man? It's not yours. Don't touch it. He's like, what's this? Not yours. What's this? Put it down. What's this? Leave it alone. What's this? Stop pilfering. These are actual things I say to my son. Get your hand out of the dish. It's he's always into stuff. So dealing with him is one thing. Him and her together is a whole other, because once him and her are forced to be in the same place for a certain amount of time, he gets on her nerves, and then she gets bitchy, which makes it really hard it's a lot of negativity, which causes him to whine. And it's like a nice little back and forth thing. And it got close to time to go, and he's like, when's dad get off? So I called, and dad's like, I get off at 8. So he's like watching the clock, and then he's like, it's 8 o'clock. Why isn't dad here? And I'm like, well, one, he gets off at 8 o'clock. Okay. And that's if he is there. If he's out on a delivery run, it's whenever he gets back. It's whenever he gets done with certain things. 8 o'clock is not always 8 o'clock. I mean, I figured he'll be here by 9. And he was. But that hour, or that amount of time, and like at 8:30 he called, and my son was like, yay, dad's here. And I'm like, no, he's just leaving work right now. Aside from that, today was pretty good. The goats were not out. I haven't seen the goats since I've been here. This time, I mean, during the summer they were close to the fence, but the donkeys, you hear them all the time. So Gavin wanted to see the donkeys, and I said, well, after we had this like big ass deep freeze to get rid of, and I said, as soon as they come pick this up, we'll go. So he's bugging about that. So we walked down the road, and he's like, where are the donkeys? And I honestly was like, I guess they're in the barn. But we kept walking because he didn't say, well, I want to turn back. So we just kept walking. And finally, we get to where the donkeys actually are. And I see one, and I'm like, look, right down there, And my son is looking at it, he can't see the donkey. And I'm like, it's right there. And I'm pointing like right in front of us, just maybe 100 feet away. Finally, he sees it. He's like, oh, I see it. Wow. Can we go pet him? No, he's not our donkey. You know, and he's like, yeah, but can we pet him? And I'm like, I don't know who owns him. We can't just go into somebody's yard and pet their animals. You know, so the donkey starts coming towards us. And Gavin's getting excited. He's coming to us, Mom. He's coming to us. Now, the pen, I could see that the pen does not come super close to the road. I mean, there's a good 50 feet from the road and the edge of the pen. And as we walked a little further down to get a better look, I see the donkey's at a tree. So I'm like, oh, he's not coming to us. He's scratching himself on the tree. So he does this for a minute, and Gavin's just watching him, and he's like, I think he's going to come to us. Can we feed him? You know, he's got like a million questions and everything. And the whole time, none of the donkeys made a single fucking sound. And I was like, oh, come on. He's got to hear the donkey sound. Or maybe it's not a donkey. It might be a mule. I don't know. I don't know the difference. I know the difference, like, genetically. But as far as by sight goes, I think we were looking at a donkey because he looked like Donkey from Shrek. So, anyway, he gets done scratching himself on the tree, and then he starts coming back towards us, and Gavin's like, I think he wants us to feed him, Mom. We need to feed him because he wants us to. And I'm like, he's not ours. You know, he could bite you, you know, and just... So I videotaped this thing for like 30 seconds. He had like this little white patch on his nose. He was cool. And as I was filming, I was like, look, there's one back there by the barn. You know, and Gavin's like, you need to find out who owns that donkey. And, you know, because I want to pet him. And I was like, I probably do. My aunt knows who owns the donkeys, I'm sure. She knows everybody out here. Got home. Decided to clean the bathroom. I'd been dreading this because the tub was disgusting. Maybe not the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Like, I wasn't gagging trying to clean it, but it did take me a long time. I used my leftover dishwater because I don't have running water yet. So I have to tote buckets and heat water up. But after I was done and Gavin went home, I took a bath over a pot. I mean, I basically had this hot water in this pot that was too hot for me to put my feet in. And I just kind of crouched over the pot and soaped myself up and then, you know, squeegee out it was a different experience. But hey, you know, I mean, it's better than, I know people like who take wet wipe baths, and I'm like, that's not clean. You know, you still give your baby a bath, even though they're not really dirty. You know, you give them a bath because you got to have the water going across your body. My aunt is supposed to get the water running, which I had told her she didn't really have to worry about. But she's like, well, you don't need to be toting buckets around. And I'd already told her, you know, hey, I don't have a problem with toting buckets of water. It's no big deal, really. I mean, I don't have a hot water heater. And she had said that she wasn't going to get one. And I was like, okay, you know, I mean, it's like, who am I to complain? She's helping me out. You know, I had nothing. I had $20 to my name. And she took me in and gave me a roof over my head and has been accommodating. You know, if I have to tote buckets of water, you know, she can ask me to do anything and I'm going to do it for her. But the nice thing about that part of my family is that, you know, they'll, you know, like, you'll do anything for them, but they won't ask you to do anything. You know, it's like they know that you'll do whatever they want. but they won't ask because if they think, well, that's too much trouble, because we've got this mixed up concept of inconveniencing people and being a bother. So, I mean, I don't know if it's completely messed up. I just know that, like, that's how I feel. And my aunt, I'll say, hey, stay seated. I'll get this for you. It's no big deal. I'm going into the kitchen. Hand me your plate. I'll take care of this. You don't have to get up. But they always do more than you expect them to, even as elderly. I mean, my grandma was the same way. My dad would not ask for help. With much of anything. Now, if you showed up, I mean, the only reason my dad would ask for help was if he sat there for like an hour or two trying to do something and he's like, I need another set of hands to like hold this steady. That was the only reason he'd ask for help. If he could figure out a way, it didn't matter how much stress he put on himself, he wouldn't come and ask for help. So this week, my aunt had said she was going to call the plumber. Now, typically, when you call somebody who is a plumber, an electrician, a handyman, their bread and butter is repeat business. So it would behoove them to call you back to let you know what's going on. My aunt, and I guess it's an Arkansas thing maybe, my aunt will say things like, well, the window guys were supposed to be here yesterday, but they still ain't showed up or called or nothing. And it's like, the thing is I don't know how it is in other states, but I know that here I've seen it quite a bit. People that don't show up. They don't call. They don't let you know what's going on. Now, her handyman, because I had found a leak in the ceiling, she called him and he said, okay, I can get you. I've got 4 jobs to do. You're number 3. He didn't tell her what the other 2 jobs were, and he didn't really tell her what day he could get to her, but he did immediately call her back to say, I can get to it sometime this week. I'll let you know ahead of time. And he will. But some of these people, they'll say, okay, like you call, the least they can do is call you back. I mean, that's money that somebody's going to pay you. If she called one of the bigger groups, they would have had somebody answering the phone. They would have scheduled an appointment to look at what was going to be done and possibly do it. I mean, it'd be done quick. And I guess that's why people use the bigger companies. It's like, fuck, they get on shit. Because the other plumber, he'd rather not, it's like, what the fuck, dude? At least call, find out what the job is. And this guy would know what the job is because she uses the same people. I'm not using somebody if they don't call me back within 24 hours of me calling them. And especially a plumber. Because a plumber can be one of those emergency type things, where I want them to call me back within an hour, as long as I'm not calling at like 2 a.m. if they're not a 24-hour plumber, But if it's 8 to 5, they should at least be calling back to say, hey, what do you need? I don't know when I can get to it, and like this mentality of, and you see it with my dad's friend. He had given a guy at a church. He said, hey, or no, he had sold this guy some equipment. And he's like, just come to my house and get it. His house was like 5 minutes from the church. The dude paid him. And he was having to chase down dude to come pick up items he had bought to use for work. It's like, And it's like, what? That makes no fucking sense to me. You bought equipment for your business, and 3 months has gone by and you ain't picked it up. You're always like, well, I ain't got time today. I'll do it another day. You see them at church and you can't go the 5 minutes to grab. Of course, upon visiting with said family friend, chances are dude knew he couldn't get out of there quick enough. You know, he'd be expected to sit and chat and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of people out here that are just, you know, it's like you're going to give them something and they can't bother to show up for it. Or they pay for something and they can't bother to pick it up. It's like, what the fuck? You know, makes no sense. It's like, how can you not want to make money or not want to pick up something that's free that you need? You know, some lazy shit. If I buy something or if somebody's giving me something, I'm showing up pretty quick. Of course, I guess it's because I'm not a busy person. You know, I get stuff done in a timely manner or ahead of time, which is a timely manner. Um, so I mean, there's even when I had a job and was working 50, 60 hours a week. No, never worked 50, 60 hours a week. I'm lying there. 40 hours a week, maybe 45. Um, Even when I was working full time and had little kids at home, I could go see somebody and spend an hour chatting with them in order to pick up something that I bought or was being given to me. I was never that fucking busy. Maybe it's because my circle's so small or people don't like me. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Um, it just doesn't make sense to me. And it doesn't make sense to me that my aunt doesn't get like, well, I'm going to use somebody different. If they don't want my, you know, if they don't want to talk to me, then they're not going to get my money. They're not going to get my business just because you've used them before. You know, I mean, I get that, you know, you don't want to just get somebody, you know, the first schmo that answers, and you probably don't want to get the number one in the state, which, FYI, with plumbers, when you go for like one of those big companies, a lot of times, this is what my plumber friend said. He said they will send you a junior apprentice or whatever, somebody who doesn't even have their license sometimes, because the licensed plumbers are doing other stuff. But a lot of times you'll have somebody who's not an actually licensed plumbing, at least in Arkansas. Now, I can't say how it is in other states. He couldn't say how it is in other states, except maybe Louisiana. And it might even vary from county to county. But in Saline County, they don't have to have a license. They just have to work for a licensed and bonded company. No skin off the company's back if they mess up and they got to send somebody else out to fix it. Not really. I mean, it's a little skin off their back. Costs them money. But it's not going to cost them their reputation. So it's been a busy day. A little irritated here and there, but I did get to see my kiddos. I do love my kiddos. My son, I thought he was hugging me when we were walking home, and he was just like, no, I'm cold. I was like, ugh. I was having one of those aw moments, and it was more like, aw, shit. You're just cold. Well, anyway, I am going to go. I've had a good day. I hope you've had a good day. As I always say, every moment is an opportunity to turn things around. And a lot of times all it takes is just turn around your thinking. You know, take a moment. Rethink situations. You know, pause. You know, it can make a difference. you know, saying, not today, Satan, you know. Um, you just choose not to let shit get to you. So I'm going to go. Good night.